My mother looked at me like I was a stranger and said, "Your sister can't stand the sight of you. Be gone by nightfall." I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I grabbed one old suitcase, the one I'd had since my first year of college. I carried it out past my father, who was standing in the hallway. He never said a word. For a whole week, my phone stayed silent. Then my father called. Then my mother. Then my sister. I watched the screen light up and let it ring. But it wasn't the silence that broke me. It was what it showed me. Something I'd been running from for years. Clarity. Before we get into that night, do me a favor. Hit like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is. I want to see where this story is traveling. Now, let me take you back to that Thursday evening in April, the night my mother chose my sister over me for the last time. I'm standing at my parents' kitchen sink, scrubbing a glass casserole dish. The water is almost too hot to stand. This is our usual Thursday night dinner, a routine I've kept since I moved out 6 years ago. The house smells like garlic bread and that clean, pine-scented lemon cleaner my mom loves. The television is playing quietly in the other room. Everything looks normal. But my sister, Olivia, has been in my mother's bedroom for over an hour. I can hear the low mumble of her voice, rising and falling, rising again. My mother's replies are a low, soothing rumble, the kind of tone she uses when she's absorbing someone else's drama like it's her own oxygen. I finish the last dish, dry my hands on the blue striped towel, and fold it into neat thirds on the counter, a force of habit. That's when the bedroom door opens. My mother appears in the doorway. Her face isn't angry. It's something worse. It's decided. There's a difference. Anger leaves room for negotiation. Decision does not. Anger leaves room for argument. Decision leaves none. She tells me, her voice flat and instructional, "Your sister says she gets physically ill every time she looks at you. I want you to pack your things and leave tonight." I look past her, down the hall. My father is standing by the coat closet with one hand on the doorframe. He's staring at the floor. I ask, "Did either of you ask her what happened between us?" My mother's chin lifts slightly. "I don't need to. I can see the effect you have." I fold the towel one more time. Then I walk upstairs, my old room, the one I gave up when I was 13 so Olivia could have her own space. It still holds a shelf of my old college textbooks. I pull the old blue duffel from the back of the closet. I pack in under 4 minutes. My father is still by the coat closet when I walk down. I pass by him. He's had 34 years to say something. I don't stop. But the real trigger didn't happen that night. It happened 3 days earlier. I'm at the dining table with my laptop open, helping my dad balance his checking account. Something I do once a month for him. He's always been nervous around numbers. That's when I spot it. A credit card charge. Then another. 14 in total. Over $4,000 in just 3 weeks. The vendors are high-end clothing sites, a luxury skincare company, and a handbag reseller. These aren't business expenses. My sister told my parents she needed their card for inventory for her online store, her third business venture in 2 years. I don't bring it up to start a fight. I bring it up because my dad is retired. He's 64. $4,000 is a lot of money. Later, at dinner, I say, "Olivia, these charges don't match any wholesale supplier." She doesn't blink. "You went through my purchases?" "Dad asked me to look," I tell her. "They're right there." She puts her fork down. Her eyes instantly fill with tears, not slowly like a switch. "You always do this. You always try to make me look bad." "I'm not making you look like anything," I say. "The receipts are, I can't," she says, pushing her chair back. She stands up and runs down the hall. The bedroom door slams. Now my mother is standing, napkin in a crumpled fist, staring at me like I just set the kitchen on fire. Olivia's weapon was never her voice. It was her tears. And I want you to understand something. That night wasn't a sudden break. It was just the latest crack in a pattern that started when I was 13. That was the year my mother asked me to move my things to the basement. Olivia was 8 and needed her own room to develop her creativity. I didn't fight. I carried my sheets down 2 flights and made a corner in the basement. My dad stood in the doorway that night. He lifted his hand like he was going to knock on the wall, maybe speak. Then he turned and walked away. At 22, I graduated summa cum laude from Virginia Tech. My parents sat in the back row. They stayed for 10 minutes after the ceremony, then left because Olivia wasn't feeling well. I later learned she had a headache. At 28, I got promoted to senior project manager, the youngest in my company's history. I called my mom from the parking lot. She said, "That's great, honey. Listen, your sister just had a bad day at work and she's really upset. Can I call you back?" She didn't. Every milestone I reached was minimized. Every achievement was filed away behind whatever crisis Olivia was performing that week. I kept pushing because I believed if I achieved enough, they would finally see me. That was my lie. I wasn't angry when I packed that bag. I was exhausted. Anger still holds out hope for change. Exhaustion has stopped asking. Anger still expects. Exhaustion has stopped asking. Let me tell you about my sister, not the version you'd see at a family picnic. The version it took me 30 years to see clearly. Olivia is 30. She's smart. She can read a room faster than anyone I know. She knows exactly when to soften her voice, when to let her eyes glisten, when to press her lips together like she's fighting a brave, silent battle. It's not a calculated con. It's instinct. It's the only skill she's ever needed because it's the only skill our family ever rewarded. When her boutique failed, $12,000 gone, she didn't say I messed up. She said, "I'm scared Tiffany was right about me, and that makes me feel like I should disappear." My mother heard disappear and stopped listening to anything else. Within 20 minutes, I got the call. "Do you see what your criticism does to her? She's fragile, Tiffany. She's not like you." That phrase, "she's not like you," was the leash they kept me on. It meant, you're strong, so you take the hits. She's weak, so she gets the shield. But here's the truth about someone who never faces consequences. They never learn how to survive them. Olivia isn't fragile because she was born that way. She's fragile because every time she started to crack, someone was there to glue her back together before she could learn to hold herself up. My competence was the stage light that made her helplessness look real. My mother retired from teaching 3 years ago, 31 years at Maple Ridge Elementary. She loved that job, not just the kids, but the structure, the bells, the lesson plans, the lineup of little faces needing her. When that ended, she came home to a quiet house and a husband who was already deep into his retirement of fishing and TV. She needed someone to need her. Olivia volunteered without even knowing it. Every crisis Olivia created, the failed business, the breakup, the leash she couldn't afford, gave my mother a new classroom, a student to rescue, someone to prove that Linda was still needed. I was the opposite problem. I paid my own rent at 22. I was running million-dollar projects by 26. I didn't call crying. I called with good news. And good news didn't give my mother anything to fix. So she built a system. Unwritten rules. Never question Olivia's choices. Never mention money. If there's tension, Tiffany adjusts. Because Tiffany can take it. Because Tiffany is strong. I used to wear that word like a medal. Strong, reliable, unbreakable. I didn't realize until much later that strong was just a synonym for expendable. My mother didn't kick me out that Thursday because Olivia was sick. She kicked me out because I was the only threat to an architecture she'd spent years building, and the anniversary party she'd been planning for 6 months was 3 weeks away. My father is a good man. I need to say that because the rest of this will make him sound otherwise. Gary Hale spent 40 years fixing other people's plumbing. He could find a leak in the dark and fix it before coffee, but in his own home, he never fixed anything that mattered. His entire strategy for conflict was one sentence: don't upset your mother. He said it when I moved to the basement. He said it at my graduation. He said it every time I came to him with something that hurt, as if her comfort was the load-bearing wall and my feelings were just furniture you could rearrange. I remember being 14. Olivia had broken a ceramic bowl and blamed me. My mother grounded me for a week. That night, I heard my dad come down to the basement. He stood outside my door. I saw the shadow of his shoes shift under the gap. He raised his hand. His knuckles brushed the wood. Then the shadow moved away. He left. He loved me. I know that. But love without action is just a feeling you keep to yourself. And he kept it to himself for 34 years. Still, something deep in that quiet man was about to shift. I just didn't know it yet. The duffel bag weighs 11 pounds. I know because the strap digs into my shoulder the same way it did on Move and Day at Tech. I place my parents' house key on the kitchen counter next to the folded towel. I don't slam the door. I close it quietly, the way you close a book you've already finished. My car starts on the first try. I pull out of the driveway, past the mailbox my dad repaints every spring. 40 minutes on the road. No radio, no calls, just the hum of the tires. Marcus is in our kitchen when I walk in. He sees the duffel before he sees my face. He doesn't ask what happened. He just reads me. "I'll make coffee," he says. I sit at our table. My hands settle on the surface, and for a moment, my right hand drifts to my stomach. 10 weeks. A life I hadn't told anyone about except the man pouring decaf across the room. 10 weeks. Sitting there, staring at that bag, I made a decision that had nothing to do with my parents or my sister. My child would never grow up wondering if they were enough. I reached over and turned off my phone. For 7 days I was gone. What would your family do if you disappeared for a week? Here's what I didn't know. The night I left, the party was already crumbling without me. 2 weeks before the fight, Olivia had volunteered to organize my parents' 40th anniversary. She announced it at brunch like she was accepting an award. "I want to do this for you. Let me handle everything." My mother beamed. My father nodded. Nobody mentioned that every event Olivia had ever handled ended with someone else, usually me, finishing the work. This time, it was 63 people. A private room at the Italian restaurant downtown. Printed invitations. A slideshow. A deposit on catering. Real logistics. Olivia pitched the party right after her store folded. It was a play. Proof she could still deliver. A week before the credit card fight, my Aunt Clara called me out of the blue. Clara is my mother's younger sister. A nurse. Quiet, observant, she said something I didn't understand then. "Tiffany, your mother is doing to you exactly what our mother did to me." 3 days later, my world tipped sideways. But Clara's words stuck. And Marcus said something around that time I keep circling back to. "You've been keeping a timeline in your head your whole life. Maybe it's time to write it down." I didn't know it then, but that timeline would become the most important project I'd ever manage. If you've ever felt invisible at a family dinner, I see you. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever been the one who had to absorb everything? I read every comment. Day 1, I wake up at 6. Shower, coffee, drive to the office. Sit through a 90-minute meeting about a highway project. Nobody knows my mother kicked me out 12 hours ago. Nobody notices anything different. That's what happens when you're trained to absorb. You get good at looking normal while everything inside you is breaking. Is that a strength or just a survival habit? Day 2, no calls. No texts. I check my phone 3 times. Nothing. The silence isn't a surprise. I know what they're waiting for. Me to call first, apologize, smooth everything over. I don't. Day 3, Marcus asks, "Do you want me to call them?" "No," I say. "I want to see how long this takes." That night, I open a blank spreadsheet. Columns, date, event, what was said, result. I'm not building a legal case. I just need to see it clean. Linear, the way I see everything else at work. 3 days of silence told me more than 34 years of words ever did. They weren't worried about me. They were waiting for me to come back and play my part. Day 4. My phone rings at 11:47 a.m. It's my dad. I almost let it go. But that 12-year-old girl still answers. "Hey, Tiff," he says. His voice is careful. "Hey, Dad, I can hear the TV in the background." The dishwasher. Normal sounds from a house that expelled me. "Your mother's been upset. We need to figure out the seating chart for the party." I wait 10 seconds. "Is that why you're calling?" He clears his throat. "I'm calling because we need to talk. You had a chance to talk. You watched Mom tell me to leave and said nothing." "That's not fair, Tiff." "Exactly." I hang up. Marcus heard the whole thing from the doorway. He called about the seating chart, I say. He exhales. Not a laugh. Confirmation, my mother kicks me out, and my dad calls 4 days later to talk about who sits next to whom. I close the laptop. I'm done being the padding between this family's furniture. Day 6, 2 missed calls from Mom. 1 voicemail. I let it sit. Marcus accidentally plays it when he grabs my phone thinking it's his. I hear her voice, "Tiffany, this has gone on long enough. Your father and I want you at the anniversary. Olivia is willing to put this behind her. We need to move forward as a family." 43 seconds. I listen twice. Notice the language. Olivia is willing to forgive. Not "I'm sorry," not "we were wrong." Olivia is willing to forgive me for something I didn't do. "That's not an apology," Marcus says. "That's a job offer." She didn't call to check on me. She called to manage me. For the first time, I could hear the difference. Day 7. A text from Olivia at 9:14 p.m. long, 4 paragraphs. I read it with the same part of my brain that flags problem clauses in a contract. "Tiff, I know you're hurting. I'm hurting too. This has been so hard. Can we please just be sisters again? The party won't be right without you. Can we move past this for Mom and Dad?" 4 paragraphs, 3 mentions of the party, 0 mentions of what she actually said about me. She reframes it as something that happened to us equally. This has been so hard on all of us, as if she didn't strike the match. I screenshot it. Row 14 in my spreadsheet. Olivia wasn't reaching out to fix things. She was casting a role. She needed me back in the picture for the anniversary. I didn't reply. That night, I called my Aunt Clara. She picks up on the second ring. "I was wondering when you'd call," she says. "I need to ask you something. What did you mean when you said Mom is doing to me what your mother did to you?" She doesn't hesitate. "Your grandmother had 2 daughters, Linda and me. Linda got the new shoes, the best bedroom, the praise. I was the quiet one, the responsible one, the one told to keep the peace." I closed my eyes. I know that script. "Your mother didn't invent this," Clara says. "She inherited it. When she had daughters, she did what she knew. Why didn't you say something sooner?" I tried. 15 years ago, your mother cut me off for 5 years, called me jealous. We reconnected only because I stopped pushing. The difference is I waited too long. I let 30 years pass before I realized it wasn't my fault. Don't make that mistake, Tiffany, she adds. If you go to that party, don't go alone. And don't go empty-handed. I didn't understand what she meant. Not yet. The invitation arrives by mail. Cream card stock. Gold foil lettering. Please join us for 40 years of love. Gary and Linda Hale. Our names are written on the inner envelope in Olivia's handwriting. Tucked inside is a note from my mother on her lavender stationery. We want the whole family there. This is bigger than any argument. Love, Mom. Marcus reads it over my shoulder. They didn't invite you back into the family, he says. They invited you into the photo. He's right. If I'm not there, people will ask questions. And questions are the one thing my mother can't control. I turn the invitation over. Event coordinator, Olivia Hale. Marcus catches it. She's coordinating a 60-person party. She can't even coordinate a grocery list. Every group project, every family gathering. Olivia commits big and delivers small. I put the invitation on the fridge. I want to look at it every morning and ask myself, what am I walking into? And why? What's the difference between showing up and sacrificing yourself? 2 weeks until the party. Clara keeps me updated, not out of gossip. She's been invited too. Olivia is drowning, Clara says. She booked a caterer and went $1,500 over budget. Your mother approved it without blinking. Your father asked where the money was coming from. First real argument they've had in months. She also asked your cousin Megan to help with decorations. Megan said no. Olivia bailed on her baby shower last spring. What about the slideshow? I ask. She asked your mother to pick the photos. Clara is quiet for a moment. She's drowning, Tiff. She's been in the shallow end her whole life. Now the water's at her chin. For the first time in my life, I don't feel the pull to be the hand that pulls her out. The spotlight Olivia always craved was burning her, and no one was stepping in to adjust the lights. The calls start on a Wednesday. From the outer ring, my Aunt Janet calls first. Tiffany, honey, your mother is heartbroken. Can't you just come to the party and be the bigger person? I've heard that phrase my entire life. It's family code for absorb the damage so we don't have to deal with it. Did Mom tell you what she said to me? Long pause. She said you two had a disagreement. She told me to pack my things because Olivia said looking at me makes her sick. Longer pause. I'm sure there's more to the story. Ask her what happened that night. Then call me back. She didn't call back. My cousin Derek texts. Family is family. Tiff, don't let pride ruin this. I don't reply. 2 more relatives reach out. Same script. Nobody asks if I'm okay. They just ask if I'll show up to make it look normal. Saturday morning, I open the spreadsheet again. 37 rows now. 12 years of data. Dates, events, outcomes. Every single time the system breaks the same way, Olivia fails. Olivia cries. Mom blames me. I absorb. Cycle resets. Twice a year for over a decade. The data doesn't lie. I scroll through the family group chat. The messages are ordinary until they're not. Every few months there's a cluster. Olivia's name in distress. My mother's name in defense. My name in silence. Marcus walks by. This isn't a family, he says. This is a project with a broken scope. I close the laptop. I have the timeline. I have the pattern, but I still don't know what to do with it. Then Clara calls again. She doesn't bother with small talk. I'm coming to the party, and I think you should too. Why? Because your mother has been telling people you're having marriage problems. That's why you haven't been around. The kitchen goes quiet. My mother would rather tell 60 people my marriage is failing than admit she told her own daughter to leave. Something in my chest shifts from exhaustion to heat, a clean, focused heat. She could push me out. She could ignore me. But she doesn't get to rewrite my story. Ruth is quiet. Then, that's exactly what I needed to hear. She's already spoken to 2 cousins. She asked one question. Has Linda ever told you what actually happened between her and Tiffany? Nobody knew. Every single person had only heard my mother's version. They deserve the truth, Tiff. All of them. That night, I sit across from Marcus. The invitation is still on the fridge. I'm going, I say. Are you going for them or for you? For me. I put my hand on my stomach. Still flat. Still invisible. Like everything else about me in that family, and for the person I'm carrying. I refuse to pass this pattern down. Marcus nods. What do you need? I need you there. I need Ruth there. And I need to walk in knowing what I'll say if the moment comes. When the moment comes, I think. I call Ruth. She picks up before the second ring. I'm coming. Good, I'll be near the door. You'll see me. I don't write a speech. I've spent my whole career walking into rooms full of contractors and city officials. I know how to speak clearly. I just need the facts. And I've had those memorized since I was 13. 5 days before the party, Olivia calls. Not a text. Her voice is sharp. Mom needs you there. You owe her that. I'll be there. Silence. Wait, you will? I said I'll be there. She hangs up confused. She expected me to push back. I just skipped 3 acts. Meanwhile, Ruth has been asking her one question to family members. Did Linda ever tell you what actually happened? Not one of them had the full story. My Uncle Ray, a retired postmaster, told Ruth flat out, Linda said Tiffany was going through a rough patch. A rough patch. That's what my mother called throwing me out of my house at 10 o'clock on a Thursday. Saturday morning. The party. I stand in front of the bathroom mirror. Same face, same tired eyes, but something behind them has settled. I choose a charcoal blazer. Clean, professional, Marcus is in his navy suit. He hands me a glass of water. Sure you want to do this? I've been sure for 7 days. I just needed 7 days to understand why. The drive to the restaurant is quiet. The parking lot is half full. I recognize cars. My uncle's truck. My aunt's sedan. 63 people here to celebrate a marriage built on routine and avoidance. Ruth is inside. I see her through the window. She nods. I take a breath and open the door. My mother sees me first. Her face flickers, relief, then something sharper. Her smile is quick, but her eyes go to my posture, my blazer. She knows something is different. She just doesn't know what. The private room is draped in ivory and gold, round tables, a head table with a 40 years banner, a 2-tier cake. Olivia is working the room like a politician. She looks in charge. Then the slideshow starts. Photos on the wall. My parents' wedding. Their first apartment. Olivia as a baby. Olivia at her first day of school. Olivia at graduation. I count 46 photos. I appear in 3. One is a wide shot where I'm at the edge. One is me at 6, half hidden behind my dad. The third cuts off at my shoulder. 46 photos, 3 with me. My Uncle Ray frowns. My cousin Megan looks at me, then back at the screen. I'm calm. I'm present. I'm watching everything. My mother gives a speech thanking Olivia for the evening. She doesn't mention my name. I wasn't waiting for the right moment. I was letting it build itself. Dessert plates are cleared. Olivia stands. Someone hands her a microphone. She smooths her dress. I want to say a few words about the 2 most incredible people I know. The room settles. 63 people give Olivia exactly what she's always wanted. Undivided attention. Mom and Dad, 40 years. That's a lifetime of choosing each other. I want to thank you for always believing in me, even when not everyone in this family made it easy." Her voice cracks. Her eyes flick to me. Some people follow the glance. "But family is about forgiveness," she says. "And I'm so glad my sister is here tonight. To Mom and Dad, to 40 more years, to messy, imperfect, beautiful family." Glasses clink. Applause. Olivia sits down. My mother dabs her eyes. My father lifts his glass without looking at me. She just rewrote the entire narrative in front of 63 witnesses. She made herself the gracious forgiver. She made me the one who needed forgiving. I set my glass down. I stand up. I don't reach for the microphone. The room is small enough, and my voice carries when it needs to. I'd like to add to that toast, if that's all right. 63 faces turn. My mother's hand freezes on Olivia's shoulder. My father's glass stops halfway to his lips. "Olivia said family is about forgiveness," I say. I agree. But forgiveness requires honesty, and there's been very little honesty in this family for a very long time. The murmurs stop. 3 weeks ago, my mother told me to pack my bags and leave her house because Olivia told her that looking at my face makes her sick. A ripple moves through the room, a cousin leaning forward, an uncle setting down his fork. "Some of you were told I was having marriage problems." That's not true. My marriage is fine. I was removed from my parents' home because it was easier to remove me than to hold my sister accountable for $4,000 she charged to our parents' credit card. Olivia's face drains. My mother starts to stand. "Tiffany, this is not the place. You chose the place, Mom, a party with 60 people over a single honest conversation. I'm not here to ruin the anniversary. I'm here to tell the truth in a room that's only ever heard one version." I keep my voice calm. Specific. Dated, when I was 13, I was moved to the basement so Olivia could have her own room. When I was 22, my parents left my graduation early because Olivia had a headache. When I was 28, I called my mother to share a promotion I'd worked 6 years for. She told me Olivia's boss had yelled at her and asked if she could call me back. She never did. I pause, let it sink in. Every time Olivia struggled, I was blamed. Every time I succeeded, it was minimized. Every time I tried to talk about it, I was told I was too sensitive. Then Clara stands. Calm, measured, she's telling the truth. I watched the same thing happen to me in this family 30 years ago. Our mother did it to Linda and me, and now Linda has done it to Tiffany and Olivia. The room turns to my mother. Her face is white. Her mouth opens and closes. She grips the table. My Uncle Ray speaks from the second table. "Is that true, Linda? You kicked her out?" My mother doesn't answer. She looks at Olivia. Olivia looks at the floor. I say, "I didn't come here for revenge. I came here because 60 people in this room deserve to know who they were toasting." Olivia stands. Her chair scrapes the floor, the same sound from 3 weeks ago, but this time there's nowhere to run. "You're lying," she says. Her voice shakes. Not the practiced tremble. The real kind. "You're always lying about me. No one rushes in. No one says, 'Let's all calm down.' The room holds still. My mother tries. 'This is a family matter. We don't need to.' My Uncle Ray cuts in. "Then why are 60 people here, Linda?" Olivia sweeps the room. She's looking for the lifeline, the sympathetic face. She doesn't find it. She picks up her clutch, walks toward the door. Her heels click on the hardwood, slower now. Unsteady, she doesn't look back. My mother follows. The door swings shut. I stay standing for 3 seconds. Then I sit down. Marcus puts his hand on my knee. My father is still in his chair. He hasn't moved. For 34 years, his instinct was to follow Linda. This time, he stayed. Clara found them in the parking lot. She told me later. My mother was gripping Olivia's arm. Look what you did, my mother was saying. I told you to keep it simple. Olivia pulled free. Me? She's the one who stood up. You told her she makes you sick. You gave her the ammunition. Clara stepped forward. Linda, you're doing it again. Stay out of this. I stayed out of it for 30 years. That was my mistake. Clara looked at Olivia. Your mother was the golden child in our family. I was the invisible one. Now Linda has done to Tiffany exactly what was done to me. She doesn't protect you because she loves you more. She protects you because she needs you to need her. The moment you stop needing her, she has nothing. Olivia looked at her mother. Then she walked to her car alone. Back inside, the room has thinned. The cake sits untouched. Someone unplugged the slideshow. I'm at a table near the window when my father sits down. He pulls out a chair and drops into it. We sit in silence for a minute. I knew, he says. I always knew it wasn't fair. Then why, Dad? He rubs the bridge of his nose. Because fighting your mother was harder than watching you hurt. I chose the easier path every time. His eyes are wet. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm telling you I failed. I should have told you when you were 13. Love without action is just a feeling you keep to yourself. I look at him for a long time. I hear you, Dad, but hearing it doesn't undo it. He nods. He doesn't argue. I love you, but I can't rebuild on a foundation you chose to crack. The week after the party, my phone buzzes more than it has in years. But for the first time, the calls aren't asking me to perform. They're asking me to talk. My cousin Megan texts, I saw the slideshow. 3 photos, Tiff, 3, I'm so sorry. My Uncle Ray calls, I always thought something was off. I should have pushed harder. And my Aunt Janet, the one who told me to be the bigger person, calls. Her voice is smaller. I asked your mom what happened that night. She didn't deny it. She just stopped talking. I'm sorry I told you to let it go. I didn't know. 4 people in 1 week. They saw the same family I grew up in and chose not to look too closely. Now they're looking. It doesn't fix anything, but it matters. Olivia doesn't call. My mother doesn't call. 9 days after the party, an email arrives from Olivia. 2 lines. I don't know who I am without this family protecting me. I hate you for making me see that. I read it 3 times. I don't reply, but I recognize something. The truth. Ugly, raw, unperformed, it isn't an apology, but it's the most honest thing my sister has ever said to me. I write an email on a Sunday morning. I address it to both my parents. I lay out 3 conditions. First, I will not be in the same room as Olivia until she acknowledges what she said. Second, neither of them discusses me with extended family unless I'm present. No more rewriting. Third, any visit or call will respect these boundaries. If they're crossed, I'll leave. This isn't punishment, I write. This is protection. For me, for Marcus, and for the child I'm carrying. I let that sentence sit before hitting send. The pregnancy. 12 weeks. They're finding out through an email about boundaries. It's not how I imagined it, but it's the only version that's honest. 3 months later. The nursery is pale green. The crib is assembled. My belly is showing. 16 weeks. The morning sickness has faded. Clara comes by on Saturdays. She brings casseroles and advice. She's the family I should have had access to all along. My mother kept that distance for years. Now the distance is mine to close. My father calls on Wednesdays. Short calls. 5 or 10 minutes. He asks about the baby. He asks about Marcus. He doesn't mention my mother. We're building something small. My mother sent a card, pale yellow envelope, inside a generic congratulations card. Below the printed message, in her handwriting, I'm trying. 2 words. Not enough, but more than I expected. Olivia, silence. I choose to believe hers is processing. I'm standing in the nursery. The paint is dry. The window is open. A May breeze pushes through the screen. Marcus comes up behind me. His hand rests on my shoulder. This room has no history, I say. No patterns, just space. I look at the closet. On the top shelf is the old duffel bag, the one I packed in 4 minutes. The one that weighed 11 pounds. I washed it, folded it, put it away. I don't need it anymore. There was a girl who moved to the basement at 13 and didn't complain. A woman who graduated with honors and wasn't seen. A daughter who called home with good news and got silence. She kept showing up. She kept earning. She kept believing that if she just did enough, they would finally look at her. She was enough all along. She just needed silence to finally hear it. I picked up one bag and left without a word. But the woman who walked out that door is not the woman standing in this room. This room is for someone new. Someone who will never have to earn a place in her own family. Someone who will be seen. Not because she performs, but because she exists. Endurance is not a family value. Transparency is. And this is where the new pattern starts. That's my story. I want to know, what would you have done? If you were at that anniversary party, would you have spoken up or walked away? Drop your answer. Option A, speak up. Option B, walk away. Neither is wrong. Both take courage. If this reminded you of someone, share it with them. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let someone know they're not invisible. I'm going to leave you with this. If this video made you feel something, hit like. Subscribe to Mind Unveiled Stories for more. And I'll see you in the next one. But if you think this story ended here, wait until you hear what happened next.